going to work a little bit backwards, get you to model one thing, and then move forward from there. So I am going to set my project directory, actually create a project directory. That's going to C drive for me. Accept. And I'm going to display, first of all, I'm going to switch my settings from centimeters. Why not? We'll go to meters. And display grid, set this 32, so that's 1 meter by 1 meter squared. It's going to be a little bit bigger, so you have an L-shaped table in your room, and we're going to talk about modeling that table and kind of things you should be thinking about modeling it the correct way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with just a polygonal cube. This cube is 1 meter by 1 meter squared. Obviously this is not the size of your table, and nor would I just use one default cube to do that. So I'm going to change the height to maybe 15th, actually maybe a little bit lower than that, like a 0.05, and this will be my tabletop. The depth, let's say that's 2. Maybe a little bit longer than that. No, we'll stick with 2. Or maybe 2.5. And then and now I'm going to add some subdivisions along its depth. Maybe something like that. Maybe break it down to a third. And then I'm going to build the L shape. Select one of my faces, edit mesh, extrude, and I'm going to bring that out to about right here. Now, what I want to keep in mind is as I build, I want this to kind of fit, and it's not going to fit exactly kind of into the grid as much as possible. Something I'm going to talk about a lot. This could be a little bit too big because it's of its width, so I can always, and I like changing it to this. So let's say I need to break this down to something smaller. I can change my subdivision grid. Let's go to 32. Let's keep this at 8. That, and I can make it a little bit smaller so it's a little bit more reasonable. So it fits in the grid of sorts. So I'm going to select all my versions, and I'm assuming you know the basic stuff in Maya, correct? Yeah. Not all the basic stuff, because there's obviously things you haven't learned yet. But you know how to navigate, you know polygon, you know faces, edges.
Yeah.
Okay. And I might make that and snap it to there. To give me my L-shaped desk. Now, I am not going to try to make this all out of one piece of geometry. This is my tabletop. A lot of times that is one piece of wood or press board, depending upon where you get it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take these and I am going to duplicate these faces. I might scale it in some. Now, I'm not looking at your reference material for this, and I need to unparent these. There we go. I'm going to hide this for a second, so we're left with that. And what I could do is bring it in and assume that there's something underneath the table, like there's some drawers. I'm not completely sure. Because I don't have it in front of me. But let's take a look. might be on the media drive. There we go. I believe this is it. Okay, so looking at the table, it's really not an L-shaped table. If you look, there's another table here, and then those are two separate tables. So I'm going to fix that, and I don't need this at the bottom here. Let's hide this. So what I'm going to do is just make this one long table. Then you need another table of another length to take care of it. I'm going to fill this hole. So mesh should be fill hole. There we go. And I do want to make this so that it feels like a real table. So I'm going to make kind of a little skirt, and then we're going to do the legs. But I'm not going to make this out of one piece of geometry. That's the part I want to hit home. And I kind of go a little bit berserk of sorts with how I build things. I like using the grid as much as possible. And I use it as a way for me just to line up all of my stuff. And what I will do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to snap it to a vertex. Oh, come on. And then we're going to snap that so it fits. Alright. And I'm going to do just a little bit more work here. There we go. There we go. And there we go. It fits within that. And that will fit into a larger scheme of things as well too. So what I'm going to do, insert edge loop. And I'm going to create an edge loop here, 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 and here. I could probably spend some time just snapping these to the grid because my snap tool is already on. And what I'm going to do is create my skirt for this, but I want to keep it separate. And the reason I want to keep it separate in this instance is because it allows me to add detail to the form without having to do a lot of just really crazy topology. So I'm going to duplicate those faces. Let's get these away from each other. So I have this. Now, I'm actually going to do something different. I'm going to make one more change, and then we'll go back to what we had. So we'll go to like a 15th. That's a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these. I can either bring this in, which I think that's what I want to do. I'm going to bring these in. And then we're going to extrude. I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to extrude down just a little bit. So this gives me my top, little middle skirt. It doesn't give me my legs. Now what I'm going to do, just very quickly before I have to let you go, is we're going to select these edges here, around here. We're going to select these here, this as well, that, 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 and that, and we're going to bevel it. And you can turn the fraction down. We can change the segments, but I'll keep it at 2. So that I have a nice beveled edge for this. And then for this one, what we'll do is we'll select this, this. Jonathan and Cindy, you can go. I'll see you later. And progress check tomorrow, and we'll also finish up the midterm evals tomorrow. We'll do the midterm evals tomorrow as well too. We'll go here, here, and G is your last tool key. We'll bevel, and I'll probably change these segments to 1 and kind of reduce the fragments a little bit because I don't need that high there. One of my concerns now is just the fact that it's a little bit off kilter, so my geometry is not as clean as I would like it. So I'm just going to straighten some of this up. I may want to cut it in half and fix it. Or I may just cheat, select the whole object and bevel it at one thing, bring down the fractions and keep it there. And then what I'll do is for the top, this very top here, I don't need these inside faces beveled. And let's cut off the grid for a second. I'm going to select those faces there and delete them so that all I have is the faces at the top. And then I can take this, because I'm in my orthographic view, and that little gap right there that's created, get rid of. But it looks like I still have some faces that I need to get rid of. There we go. And make sure that butts in with that, so that we have our 2 pieces for our table. The legs, very quickly, this is what I'm going to do for that. Now, I don't have my right height, so I'm going to have to go and fix that in a second. So let's say this has metal legs, kind of the really cheap type. So I am going to create, I'm going to use a cylinder. this smaller because that's a fairly thick leg for this table. And I want to make sure this butts with the bottom. Now, I'm worried about the height of my legs because if this table's too high, it's going to look weird because your average table is like 3 feet off the ground. But I'm going to kind of, instead of making these separate, I'm just going to make this end for this as part of the piece, which is not, it's not how it's made. They're separate pieces that screw on, or maybe they're welded after the fact. And I'm going to select this, I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to bring this down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bevel this. I'm going to bevel it again. I'm going to need to bring down a fraction. And I'm going to bevel this one. And if I need to make it bigger, I can always kind of scale this up. I don't have a lot of geometry here, so if I just kind of do this, it should be somewhat uniform depending on what I need. Alright, let's go back to our grid where we had before starting off. And then we can change it. So right now this table is 1 meter high, and a meter is a little over 3 feet. So I can make a decision to bring it down or keep it there, but you want to make sure that your heights make sense for what you're doing. Do you understand? Now the other thing I'm going to do is the center point for this. Take it and drag it to the top of there. And one thing I haven't done was name my geometry or finish it up. Now, this will be my kind of my basic table, and I'm just going to end up duplicating the legs. And duplicating those to make that. Now, I may need some support structures or some braces, but I'm thinking this is a fairly cheap table, and then that's kind of what I'm going with it. I'm not worried about all the stuff underneath because if I never see it, it's not going to matter. And that is a fairly long table. That's about 9 feet, so I might have to make it a little bit shorter, but we can fix that later. I'm going to file, save my scene. And then we'll go from there. What question?